Okay, folks, I think we should make a start. So welcome, everybody. I'll give Greg an opportunity to welcome you shortly. Bit of organisational issues for tonight. I think we probably will run for about an hour. I've decided not to run as many AVs. We will run the AVs that won awards, but none of the acceptances we won't show any of the acceptances AVs, just a slide from those AVs. So the organisation will be, we'll show the acceptances first, just as I said, a slide from each of them. Then we'll show the merit awards and the Herbert Medallion Awards and run the whole AVs for those. And then, of course, we'll finish with the top 3 places and for gold, silver and bronze medals and show those AVs. I'll run some comments that were supplied by the judges. And then very briefly talk about APS AV honours before we close up for the night. Firstly, I'd like to thank our judges. The judging panel comprised Keith Seidel, Sally Hinton and Richard Venus. And they've all judged past nationals and past internationals for us. I'd also like to thank the APS office, Stella and Renee. They run a great show there and they've been always very helpful to set up showcases like this. So thank you to everyone. I'd like to introduce Greg McMillan, who's, you all know, he's the president of the APS, and he will welcome you. Greg.
Thank you, Dale. And well, for another 6 weeks at least, the AGM is in mid-September, and as is the way with APS presidents, usually come in on the committee for a couple of years, senior vice president, president for 2 years. So as of about mid-September, I become semi-retired as the immediate past president and fade away into insignificance. So this is perhaps one of my last official things to do. So, and I think this is about my 4th year of doing this, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity. So I want to take the opportunity to do just a couple of things. First of all, thank Dale, because, you know, AVs are not necessarily the highest profile activity that's done within the APS. But it's a significant and important part of what APS does, you know, because it's beyond the single image, it's beyond the print. It's that level of creativity, you know, that brings multiple sort of aspects of photography together in a different genre. And so the fact that Dale is prepared to put the time and the energy and the effort into organising and running the AV for the APS, I think is really significant and important. And Dale shouldn't tell me, but shouldn't have told me, because I'm about to share it with you guys. He and I share a birthday next week on the 7th of August. And I'll leave it to you to work out which one is 5 years older than the other one, because I'm not going to say. Okay. It's known, it's me. That's okay. It's not a problem. So Dale, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Dale and I have had a couple of sort of off-the-cuff conversations about the future of AV and so forth. And I think, like most things, things can stay the same. If they're working well, they can also potentially change, you know, to embrace the next generation, I guess, of photographers. And if you look at the current age breakdown of APS and the current membership of APS, you know, about half of our members now are relatively new. And that's quite significantly different from the early 2010s and pre-COVID. And so we've had a generation of members leave us coming into COVID and during COVID. But we've also got a new generation of members coming in behind us tonight. And I have a sneaking suspicion that you may potentially see an example of some of that new work. And I think we saw some from last year as well, from some of the new members coming into the APS. And I'm not talking about age here, I'm talking about the duration of membership. And so I think the APS is going through, or has gone through, some significant change, and will continue to go through significant change. And it's a very positive change. And I look forward to seeing AV as a continued part of the APS in the future. So much so that I publicly said last year, I'll put in an AV next year, Dale. I promised I would do that. I didn't promise the standard would be particularly good, but I put it in. So in fact, I enjoyed doing that. And I think in my e-news report, I indicated the fact that I shared that video with some colleagues in Vietnam, which is what it was on. So it was actually an enjoyable thing to do, aside from anything else, and just reminded me that as a photographer, you should constantly challenge yourself to do different things and interesting things, and even if they're outside your normal skill set, then have a crack and have a go, and just try it at least once, which is good. So anyway, thank you to all who submitted tonight. Thank you for those, particularly the regulars who, year in, year out put into AVs. I think, the work you do is absolutely fantastic. Again, this is my fourth or fifth year of seeing this, and I have no doubt the quality tonight will be no different to the quality. The quality of the past will be no different to the quality tonight. So thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your contributions to the APS. And for those who are award winners tonight, congratulations and well done. And for those who aren't, then, sometimes it's that really fine balance between, I got an award this time for something, and the next time I get the same thing and I get an acceptance, and the time after I get a non-acceptance. And sometimes it's the judging and what they're looking for, and sometimes it's the standard of the exhibition. And I think that one thing we've all come to realize as we work our way through this journey of photography, it's all about what we do and how we measure our successes and our pleasure in doing this. Because you don't control what anyone else does, and it's really not that important what anyone else does. It's what you do and how you, I guess, develop yourself as a photographer. Anyway, on that note, and I do apologise if my voice is a bit croaky. I've had a heavy chest, bug for the last several days. My brain's a bit weird and my voice is a bit croaky. So I'll just leave it with thank you, Dale. Thank you to the judges. Congratulations, and thank you for your contributions to this evening to AV, and look forward to future AV events in the past. And I'm not too sure whether Dale's got me as a convert into AV yet, but I suppose another one next year. Should I publicly say I'll do another one next year, Dale?
Oh, absolutely. It's a mandatory.
Right. That's my commitment. I'll do another one for next year, but I'll do a different style and change it from there. Anyway, back to you, Dale. I'll go quiet now and leave the rest of the evening to yourself.
Thanks very much, Greg. Okay, let's start by looking at the acceptances. And the first of those is for Anniversary by John Hodgson. Well done, John. Bath Time at the Beach by Anne Pappalardo. Well done, Anne. And I will say this, Anne's entered 4 AVs and they're all about birds. And Anne is a fantastic bird photographer. The Art of Seeing by Adrian Weir and myself. Palm House, Botanic Gardens, Adelaide by Graham Phillips. Well done, Graham. An Abstract Perspective by Jan Burt. And Jan is in the Rosanna Camera Club, which is quite close to my club in Melbourne. The Rodeo, or Rodeo, depending on how you say it, by myself. Endgame by Alia Norton. Now, this was a particularly interesting one to me because it used PTE AV Studio or ProShow's techniques, tools to move pieces on this chessboard. So it was quite interesting to watch. And I'm sorry you can't watch it tonight. At One with Nature by David Shetliff. Well done, David. Just so people know, David is the president of the Audio-Visual Club of South Australia. He's also the president of the South Australian Photographic Federation, and he's a member of the APS AV Group Council as well. Again, well done, David. I Used to Be a Selfie Snob by Elizabeth Riley. I think, Elizabeth, are you here tonight? Yes, I can see that you're here. Elizabeth, I think, comes from Queensland. Correct me if I'm wrong, Elizabeth.
No, you're right.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Sins of the West by Rocky Sampaglione and myself. Live Music by Terry O'Hagan. And Terry, I love this picture. I think this picture is just fabulous. Darwin by David Shedliff. Well done, David. Land of Ice and Snow by myself. Hardened by Carol Packwood. Now, Carol, I think, is from Adelaide and a member of the AV Club of South Australia. Well done, Carol. The Wedding Whisperer Who Travels by Joy Melchiori. Well done, Joy. What Does Chelsea Want? This is again by Rocky Sempaglione and myself. Cold Water by the Rosanna Photographic Club. Now, this is an interesting AV. Not only is it very amusing, but it's been put together by the whole club, or at least a substantial part of the membership of that club, and under the supervision of Jan Burt. Are you here with us today, Jan?
Yes, I am, Dale.
Oh, great.
I'm under the Rosanna banner.
Okay. How many people did you get together to make this?
We have 12 AV group members.
Yep. So fantastic. And
Yep.
coordinating that would have been a challenge, but gee, I think it's great. And I would like to see more club entries like this in the future.
We have a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I think they're great for clubs. You could go on an outing, as I think this was done on an outing, and make a whole day of it and then make an AV out of it. Great idea. Exposed by John Hodgson. Now, I forgot to say before when I talked about John, John was a previous APS president. Last year, he received the Medal of the Order of Australia for his contributions to photography and visual arts. And I think it was this year, John got the AV GMAPS APS honour, which is the highest level of honour you can get in audiovisual production from the APS. So John's had a great couple of years. Well done, John. And congratulations on that OAM.
Thanks, Dale.
Finding Its True Home by Cynthia Henley Smith. Cynthia does some great AVs on historic things, particularly. And I think Cynthia was a historian or a history teacher in the past. Is that right, Cynthia? I can see you there, but you may not be able to unmute yourself. Anyway, well done, Cynthia. City of Shadows by Terry O'Hagan. A great AV about street photography. Well done, Terry. Getting the Shot or Not by Elizabeth Riley. Well done, Elizabeth. Confession by John Hodgson. Well done, John. Puff and Love by Anne Pappalardo. This is the second of the AVs I mentioned that Anne has entered, featuring birds, and I see these were the puffins in one of the Welsh islands, if I believe that was the case. Great photography. Well done, Anne. The Semana Santa Procession by Adrian Weir and myself, featuring Adrian's fantastic photography. Melbourne's Bluestone Story by Fiona Anderson. And Fiona is a member of the AV group of the Camberwell Camera Club here in Melbourne. Well done, Fiona. Adelaide Botanic Gardens by David Chetliff. Well done, David. Home by Michael Bucknell. Well done, Michael. I believe this is Michael's second AV, and he has previously won gold for one of his first AVs. So well done, Michael. Adelaide National Park City by Graham Phillips. Well done, Graham. Old Man by myself. It's almost a self-portrait. Sausages by Cynthia Henley Smith.
That's nice.
Nature's Embrace by Alia Norton. Well done, Alia. Sonla Memories by Greg McMillan. Well done, Greg. It's a novice entry and you've got an acceptance straight away. Well done. And the last of the acceptances, From Where I Stand by Kim Shapley. This is a great AV featuring images and video from drones, and there's some spectacular scenery in it. But we move on. Okay, so we start with the Merit Awards. And the first of those is for Glossy Black Cockatoos by Anne Pappalardo. This is the third of Anne's bird AVs, and it's quite beautiful.
Australia is a great place to be a bird photographer, and black cockatoos, of which there are 9 Australian species, are among our most beloved birds. Least familiar among them is the sublime glossy black cockatoo, or glossies as they are affectionately known. Sadly, these stunning birds are in decline due to their habitats being wiped out by devastating bushfires. It is uncommon to see them in the wild, so imagine my excitement when a small colony arrived just a short drive from my suburban home in Brisbane, Queensland. These are the precious images that I took on that day, images of a rare encounter with an endangered bird which most people are unlikely to ever see for themselves in the wild. Glossies are almost completely confined to southeastern Australia. These birds were photographed in a pretty rural area of Mount Sampson, named for these mountains. But first, if there are 9 species of black cockatoos in Australia, how do we identify the glossies? Well, despite its name, glossy black cockatoos have dull black plumage, tinged with brown on the neck, head and underparts. But their most distinctive feature is the colour in their tails. Males have a brilliant red in their tail feathers, whilst females have red and sometimes yellow or orange tail feathers with black barring through them. Females typically also have blotchy yellow on their faces. Glossies are among the most diet specialised birds in the world. They are she-oak specialists and feed exclusively on the seeds found in the cones of she-oak trees. So if you see a black cockatoo eating a she-oak cone, it is more than likely a glossy than any other type of black cockatoo. See how the bird will break off the cones and extract the seeds. Look closely at their beaks. Like all cockatoos, both mandibles are articulated to give great crushing power. The glossy's distinctive bill is massive, broad, and bulbous. What's really fascinating is just because a she-oak tree has a lot of cones, that doesn't mean that it is actually a feed tree. Glossy blacks are very fussy when it comes to which tree they feed on, and might choose only a handful of trees out of a whole forest of she-oaks. Even on this single tree, watch how this bird rejects one cone in favour of another. In the absence of the birds, if you'd like to figure out if a she-oak tree is indeed a feed tree, you need look no further than the chewings or ords left behind by the glossies. Chewings are, as you'd imagine, the chewed remains of the she-oak cones, and I found these under what was clearly one of the glossies' main feed trees in this area. After spending an hour with these beautiful birds, we noticed this female turn her back to us each time she fed. We took this as a sign to put on our lens caps and to leave the glossies to their feast. And whilst these birds and their habitats continue to be at risk due to devastating bushfires, I'm hopeful they will return again next year to mate and fledge the next generation of glossy blacks.
Well done, Anne. That was beautiful.
Thanks, Dale. I am watching here quietly in the background, so and you're doing a great job tonight, and it played really well too, but thank you so much.
No, that's great. Thank you. So for the merit for the sculpture by Alia Norton. Well done, Alia. Are you here, Alia? No, can't see Alia here tonight. That's a shame. She's done very well.
Frogner Park, also known as Vigilant Sculpture Park, is a result of one man's artistic obsession and a lifetime of work dedicated to exactly that, the human form. The park contains 212 bronze and granite sculptures created by Norwegian sculptor Gustav Vigeland, who also designed the Nobel Peace Prize medal. He worked over a period of 20 years, from 1924 to 1943, and donated his sculptures to the city of Oslo. The sculptures range in topic from representation of humans in everyday situations, such as walking, sitting, holding hands, to more symbolic subjects and highly abstract works, which represent the centerpiece of the complex. Entering the complex, the bridge's 58 bronze sculptures show a rich variety of children, women and men of different ages. Shared themes for the sculptures on the bridge are play, lust, energy and vitalism. Beyond the bridge, the path continues through to the fountain. In the center of the basin, 6 giants hold the large saucer-shaped vessel aloft, and from it a curtain of water spills down around them. The men, representing different ages, may be interpreted as toiling with the burden of life. Water, a universal symbol of fertility, is used within the fountain complex in a meaningful juxtaposition with the 20 tree groups on the surrounding parapet. The tree groups represent a romantic expression of man's relationship to nature. They also form the setting for life's evolving stages, stretching from childhood and adolescence through adulthood to old age and death. The monolith, which is 14 meters high, depicts 121 human figures clinging and floating together. There's women and men of different ages, and the top of the monolith is crowned with children. The sculpture has been interpreted as a kind of vision of resurrection and our longing and striving for spirituality. The Wheel of Life is a sundial positioned at the very end of an 850-meter axis. Thematically, it continues the journey of life motive prevalent in the rest of the park. It represents eternity with 4 human figures and a baby locked in a circle, floating in harmony. Vigeland devoted the rest of his life to this everlasting legacy of his life's work.
Well done, Alia. That was lovely. Now we'll talk about merit awards together with Herbert medallions. The first of those is The King of Kings Beach by Anne Pappalardo, the last of her fabulous bird AVs.
Kings Beach on Queensland's Sunshine Coast is an amazing destination for a holiday. It is from this space that I have been photographing my favourite bird of prey, the eastern osprey, for the past 4 years. Come with me on this journey to marvel at the birds in this small colony which live and patrol the oceans in this region. The images you will see are of different ospreys, on different days, in different weather conditions, but all in the Kings Beach area of the Sunshine Coast. Come with me on this photographic journey to take a peek into the lives of these ospreys and to understand why I think of these birds as the kings of Kings Beach. The osprey has the most beautiful and distinctive flight profile in that its wings, when in full span, are bowed or arched. Whilst in flight, it is also easy to see the barring or stripes on the secondary wing feathers which help to identify the species, along with the necklace of brown feathers around their throats. The aerial performance of the osprey often features two birds. Together they will soar and hover side by side or follow one another as they patrol the ocean. When flying with prey, the osprey lines up its catch head first for minimal wind resistance, a very special sight to see. The osprey is a spectacular and effective hunter. They feed almost exclusively on fish, which they bring back to their perch and tear apart with their powerful beaks. Twisting their heads is a typical osprey action as the bird tries to deal with the tough skin and the fins of their catch. Peculiar to these King's Beach ospreys is the behaviour of consistently and meticulously removing and disposing of the fish's intestines, unceremoniously flicking them to the ground rather than consuming them. The life of an osprey is rich and varied. Crows chiefly are the main irritant to the osprey's peaceful existence. Many battles over the osprey's freshly caught fish are fought in the air, but crows will also try to steal fish from the osprey's open perch. This osprey is warning off a bothersome crow. Its wings are spread menacingly and its beak is open to emit a squealed warning. When they are not defending their prey, osprey will take time to rest, to preen, to bathe, and to simply watch the world sail by. And at the end of the day, these majestic birds will retire to a favourite perch. The King of King's Beach takes a moment in the last glow of the day before retiring for the night.
And I forgot to mention that this AV also gets the Herbert Medallion for Best Script. Well done, Anne. It was fabulous. The photography, the music, everything all comes together so well. Remains one of my favourite AVs.
Thanks, Dale. Thanks for being so encouraging too. I appreciate it.
Great job. So the next merit, together with the Herbert Medallion for the most creative AV, goes to Alia Norton for her AV titled The Art of Still Life Photography. Well done, Alia. Well done, Alia. And well done for the Herbert Medallion as well. That was very lovely. Okavango by John Hodgson wins a merit and the Herbert Medallion for the best narration. Well done, John.
In the heart of southern Africa lies the Kalahari Desert, which most of us associate with vast areas of sand and very little water or plant life. Much of the Kalahari is in Botswana, and somewhat surprisingly, in the centre of this enormous desert lies the Okavango Delta, with the Okavango River its central feature. Unlike most rivers, the Okavango never reaches the sea. Instead, its mighty waters empty over the sands of the Kalahari. The Okavango itself is produced by seasonal flooding, draining the summer rainfall from the Angola highlands. The banks of the river are lined with papyrus, a giant sedge which grows naturally only in Africa, and the willowy phoenix palm, which is native to Botswana. In September, as the dry season draws to a close in the delta, the water steadily recedes and stormy skies signal the impending rainy season. Falling water levels draw large numbers of birds and animals to the permanent water in the central part of the delta. The lush grazing conditions attract herds of elephants, and the younger ones can often be seen cooling off in the water. Groups of timid lechwe find plenty of feed in the lush delta. A ready supply of food means that crocodiles are a permanent predator in the delta. They can reach as much as 5 meters in length and can often be seen sunning themselves on sandy banks. Late September marks the beginning of the annual barbel run. Thousands of barbel, a type of catfish, swim upstream to deeper water. This pushes smaller species of fish into the shallows, making them easy prey for the thousands of birds which flock to the delta during the barbel run. An immense variety of bird life can be found in the delta at this time, attracted by the easy fishing. The black heron is a spectacular contrast to the little egret. Yellow-billed egrets rise effortlessly from the reeds. One of the most stately birds, the great egret, is the largest white heron in the region. The water lilies and reed beds are home to the smallest white heron, the squacco heron. Occasional trees along the banks of the river provide nesting places for African fish eagles, which look spectacular as they stoop to take fish from the river and then return to their nests to devour their catch. Nesting in the banks of the river are two species of bee-eaters, the white-fronted, which can be seen all year round, and the beautifully coloured southern carmine bee-eater, which is a common summer visitor. Wading in the shallows are delicately coloured yellow-billed storks, and the grasslands close to the river are home to the spur-winged goose. Kingfishers abound in the Okavango. The smallest is the exquisite malachite, only 14 centimetres long. The largest is the giant kingfisher, with its plumed head and rufous breast. The pied kingfisher is the only completely black and white kingfisher in the region. Although water levels continue to drop, occasional thunderstorms foreshadow the onset of the wet season. As that season approaches, forbidding skies form a stunning backdrop to the natural dramas played out daily in the great wilderness that is the Okavango Delta.
Well done, John. That's all. Your photography is always just so impeccable, beautiful, and a great story as well. And to that, you've added now best narration. Fantastic. Well done, John.
Thank you, Dale.
Okay, we're on the home stretch here, folks. We're now coming into the 3 medal placements, and we'll start with the bronze for 3rd place. And the bronze medal goes to Colleen Mahoney. And I will stress that this is also a novice entry. Colleen's first AV. Very well done, Colleen. And for anyone who missed it earlier, Colleen is an aurora hunter. And she's based, I think, in Wood End here in Victoria.
For the past few years, I have chased the elusive and sometimes fickle Aurora Australis. This image, taken near home, was the result of staying up all night and moving from place to place to avoid cloud, light pollution, and to face due south. I have local spots like this at Lauriston Reservoir, but my most important rule is to never go anywhere at night that I haven't first been in the daylight. In the days leading up to the 11th of May 2024, all of the indicators suggested that a big aurora event was due. I booked accommodation and travelled 2 hours to the Mornington Peninsula. Upon arrival at Gunnamatta, to meet up with a group of like-minded aurora chasers, I found that the sky was like nothing I had ever seen. It was magical. It was special. But I struggled to appreciate it amongst the throng of enthusiasts, rushing around to secure a vantage point. They were up high on the platforms, and they were even down on the beach. Every image showing screens, torches, and bustling photographers. It was then that I knew that I had to find a place for myself, away from all of the sounds and all of the crowds and the screens and lights. I travelled to Rye Ocean Beach, a place I have been before and was familiar with, remembering my safety rule. It was there that I found my special spot in the far corner of the car park where I could set up and face the spectacle once again. But before I knew it, the crowds started to arrive as news spread throughout social media of the vision and spectacle that could be seen. At one point, a travelling, buzzing green light appeared, and I recognised the familiar sound of a drone. I knew then that my solitude was over. The crowds came and even yelled at the drone operator to go away so that they could film, photograph, Insta-post, Facebook comment and Snapchat away. For a short while moving down the beach helped, but that was not for long. Once again, it was time for me to move, to not only chase the aurora, but solitude. I drove to the London Bridge lookout, and by then in the early hours of the 12th of May, the aurora changed colour and spectacle again. It was here that I found my place, my peace, my solitude. I took time to step away from behind the camera to experience with all of my being the aurora australis and the end of my chase.
Forgot I muted myself. Fantastic job, Colleen. That's just fantastic, spectacular photography. I'm so jealous. I didn't go out that night.
Oh, thank you so much, Dale. I'm just very humbled by the award, and thank you so much to the APS for everything that you do, because as a relative newbie, it's really getting me out and trying new things and taking me out of my comfort zone to do something like an AV, which was very challenging in a range of ways. But thank you so much. I really appreciate everything that the APS have done. Thank you.
You've done very well. You said there was an aurora tonight in Victoria, viewable?
Yes, we're getting alerts tonight. Probably about an hour ago was a pretty good time, but yes, I'm very grateful I chose to come in and watch this instead tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colleen.
Okay, Dale. Colleen could go 7 days without sleep chasing auroras, so you know, late night's nothing.
Fantastic. Moving on. For the silver medal, second place. . The Chobe by Monique Weir. Well done, Monique. And I'll have you note, everybody, that this is also a novice entry. This is Monique's first ever AV. Well done, Monique. Just to put this in context, Monique, if you're there, can you just tell us where the Chobe is?
Unmute myself.
Yes.
Yes, so this is in Botswana.
Botswana, okay.
Yeah. So Botswana's been a bit popular tonight, seeing the Okavango there as well.
Yeah. Well done, Monique.
Thank you.
Well done, Monique. I did tell you you'd do well with that one. And again, I wanted to stress to people that this is Monique's first AV as well. So we've had 2 out of the 3 medals so far have been won by novices, people's first AVs. It's just fantastic. I'll also point out, Monique, I couldn't get your font for the Chobe in PTE AV Studio, but this particular font I used is called Elephant Font. There you go. Well done, Monique. And for the gold medal, first place, is is Triptych by Alan Bradley. And Alan also wins the Herbert Medallion for Top Novice. This is fantastic effort. Well done, Alan. Oh, there it is. I did put it in, sorry. Well done, Alan. What can I say? It was fabulous. You probably squeezed more photos into one AV than I've ever seen before.
Yeah,
Did
there's
that-
quite a few. And the number
Yes.
of layers in each slide as well got very confusing. So yeah.
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'd also note that this was created using PowerPoint.
Yeah, I had to learn how to use PowerPoint to do it too. So
Wow. You mean this is your first PowerPoint as well? Oh,
yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because
The first garage band as well. So yeah.
yes, I saw you use so you made the music using GarageBand as well.
Yeah. Use their loops.
Yes. I
Combined.
love the music. I thought it was just held it together so beautifully.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Originally done it with Miss Saigon, but you can't use that in this competition. So I had to
right.
go out and do my own music for it. Yeah.
Can you turn your video on, Alan, so we can at least all see the champion of the show?
Do you really want to see me?
There you go. Well done, Alan. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Gee. And for a first effort, first GarageBand, first use of PowerPoint, and you've come up with this magic AV. Well done.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great. I was giggling half the time doing it when I was making some of these effects work.
Yes. That's fabulous. Look, well, it's too hard for me to ask people to join in congratulating you again, but I'll applaud you on behalf of everyone. Well done, Alan.
Thank you.
So that's it for the AVs. What I've got now is some general comments from the judges. These were generic comments, and what I'm going to tell you is they sent me these comments in an email, and I put it into 11 Labs, which is a voice generator. And I've used 11 Labs now for about a year, and the latest versions are just unbelievably good. The intonation and everything else is unbelievable. Now, this particular voice I chose is not one of the judges. It's just a senior woman's voice, and it's a bit flat, but I like it for what it does. So listen to the judges' comments, folks.
A very impressive series of AVs overall. We were very excited to see the number of the novice entries, noting that 3 of these took out the top 3 awards. This indicates a healthy future for AV production moving forward, which we feel was a very positive outcome of this competition. As judges, we look at a variety of aspects which contribute to a successful AV, including the originality of the idea behind the AV, the quality of the images, the quality of script and choice of music, and how all of these are pulled together in production to tell a story or explain a concept. Each judge then adds their own personal reaction to the sequence and whether it had a wow factor that made it noteworthy. This was expressed very well in our gold medal winner, Triptych, which was a brilliantly executed AV, carefully planned and produced using good quality images. Needless to say, this had a strong wow factor for each of us. Suggestions for improvement. A common area of concern that we found in several of the AVs was the overuse of tools, such as zoom transitions and inlay panels. We all felt that just because they are available, it doesn't mean you should use them. The effect in several sequences was to make it harder to notice the photos in conjunction with the soundtrack and narration. The tools became a distraction. Ask yourself, does this enhance the story or detract from it? Several sequences were considered too long and perceived as being captured by the length of the music. If you have the skills, we recommend editing the music to fit a set of good images rather than make the images fit the music. However, be aware that just fading out at the end is a weak conclusion. The other factor contributing to an overlong AV is excessive narration caused by overblown writing or cramming in too many facts. The primary goal of an AV should be to entertain rather than instruct. The narration should also be in sync with what's on the screen. There's no point in talking about something we can't see. There needs to be more care taken with basic image editing. In particular, avoid over-sharpening, which won't rescue an unsatisfactory image. Horizons should be horizontal, and attention needs to be paid to the effect seen on screen as you transition to the next image. As this was a new exhibition that had no prior exhibition limitations, all three of us saw many sequences that we had seen previously, mostly unchanged. We all thought that we would like to see older sequences be further developed and improved, as prior exposure to judging some sequences makes their foibles and possible limitations more apparent than when seen the first time.
That's it for the comments from the judges. And again, I wanted to just talk about the voice generation, because having a good voice or good narration in an AV is very important. And the new tools like 11 Labs are just stunning now. A year ago, when I would have done this voice, if I'd done it a year ago, I would have had to change the spelling on some words to get it to pronounce them correctly. I would have had to put spaces in to make sure it does the right pauses when you think it should be pausing and so on. But I did this last night and it just did it in its first pass. It put everything just perfectly in. So I would encourage you, if you want good voices, good narration in an AV, have a look at some of those tools. But of course, if you've got an individual, real person with a great voice, use that person by all means. I wanted to conclude to talk about audiovisual honours from the APS, because we've got 58 entries here. Many of the individuals would be eligible, or very soon be eligible, for honours from the APS. And you can get honours via a panel system, as many of you know, or via the exhibition system. So I'll just very quickly talk about those in case you're not familiar with them. There are 3 audiovisual honours: audiovisual LAPS, which is a licentiate level, the audiovisual associate level, AAPS, and audiovisual fellowship level, FAPS. For LAPS, you submit 3 to 5 AVs, and you can see the numbers: 4 to 5 for AV AAPS and 4 to 5 for AV FAPS. For the AV LAPS, all of your entries must be deemed by a panel to be of national acceptance standard. So as I said, many of the individuals here tonight would be immediately eligible because they've already met the national acceptance standards. For AV AAPS, you submit 4 or 5 entries. At least 3 of those must be of national award standards. That is, it's received a Herbert Medallion, a Merit Award, or one of the bronze, silver, or gold medals at one of these national exhibitions. And the remaining AVs that you submit have to be deemed to be at least of national acceptance standard. For AV FAPS, we simply move that into the international awards and acceptance standards. At least 3 of the 4 or 5 submissions must be of international award standard, as measured or as deemed by the panel, and the remaining AVs must be of an international acceptance standard. Now, I would encourage anybody who's interested in APS AV honours to seriously look at a panel application, particularly at those 3 levels, and especially for AV LAPS and AV AAPS. It is the quickest path towards getting those honours, as you will see, against the AV exhibition honours. Now, this looks a little bit confusing, and I'll just very quickly try and explain it. For AV LAPS, you need to have 20 national acceptances or 10 international acceptances. And you can combine them in some way, like you could have 5 international acceptances and 10 national acceptances. And that would make you eligible immediately for AV LAPS by exhibition. At the AV AAPS level, you've got to have at least 3 national awards and 30 national acceptances. Or at the international level, you can have 3 international awards and 15 international acceptances. Finally, for AV FAPS, you've got to have at least 3 international awards and 20 international acceptances from 8 AVs, 8 different AVs. Or you can have 2 international awards and at least 6 national awards. Now, there are higher level APS AV honours for AV maps and AVG maps, but I haven't included those, and I would refer you to the AV website, sorry, the APS website for more details. As far as I'm aware, John is the only person who's got AVG maps, and one of our judges, Sally, has got AV FAPs. But we're about to conclude. Greg, would you like to say any closing comments if you're still here with us? Yes, there you are.
I would, Dale. Next time I put my hand up and say, look, I'll throw in an AV next year. Can you not encourage 5 brilliant other nominations to come along board? That was just outstanding stuff. It really was just brilliant. I mean, I don't know a couple of the submitters, but I know Colin's work, so I'm not surprised Colin's there. So well done to everyone. It is fantastic, and I think the judge's comment that says it bodes well for the future of AV is a good one. The only other comment I make, and this is particularly for the newer members who perhaps are still getting their headspace around the honour system. When Dale mentioned before the 20 acceptances in AV, that's not 20 separate video titles. That's acceptances. So you could put the same AV into multiple exhibitions. I know those more experienced know that, but for some of the newer members, it's worthwhile noting. And I've made this comment at VAPS earlier and a few other places when people say, look, aren't honours all about pride and ego and so forth? And the answer to that, of course, it's absolutely not at all. It's about a focus for self-development and improvement as a photographer. And if you look at the standard of the 3, top images today, AVs today, if those individuals turn their mind to accumulating a focus on AV awards, it's simply a matter of applying themselves to a range of AVs, submitting them to get those standards, because they would be there very quickly. And I think your comment's right. Certainly panel is certainly worthwhile looking at panel as an alternative. In saying that, some people have this perception that panel is easier. It's not, because the judgment is something you have less control over, because the judges are passing comment in isolation, in a sense. Whereas if you get it through the exhibition model, you put them in, you get your acceptances, you put them in, you get your acceptances. So don't let anyone tell you that panel is harder or less difficult or whatever it may be than exhibition. They're just 2 separate pathways you can choose for 2 very different reasons. But yeah, so look, I always work on the basis. I say to people, if a muggins like me can work their way through the honour system, whether it's in exhibition or in AV or wherever it may be, then the talent of the people in this audience today can certainly do so. So I'd encourage you to take on board Dale's comments and support and move forward and pick up some of those AVs. And again, perhaps for the newer members, but even so, maybe some of those who have been around a while, you may recall that earlier this year, we started to introduce a downloadable badge, so that aside from the letter you get and the certificate you get, you can now attach your AV honours badge to your emails and so forth. And just another way to highlight that you've achieved that level of honours, which you should be proud of. And I might add, you can only do that if you retain your membership. So your honours you can hold for life, but the badge that you can download is why you're a current member. But yeah, other than that, guys, love the work tonight. I don't know whether to walk away and give up on AVs or be inspired. I think I'll be inspired by the greatness of tonight. Again, thank you, Dale, for your work for APS and for the AV, and congratulations to everyone who contributed and put into for the night. And yeah, stay well, stay safe.
Thanks very much, Greg. And congratulations on a successful run as the president of the APS. I hope you were able to attend these functions in the future.
Well, I think I again foolishly said I'm putting in one next year. So next year I may simply be a mere participant, quietly in the back. So yeah, which is good.
And Greg stays on the management committee of the APS as the immediate past president. So
I'd
fantastic
like to call it
job.
The wise advisor, but I doubt very much there's much wiser about it. That's okay.
Yes.
All good. Yep.
Thanks very much, Greg. And look, I'll just conclude by saying thank you to everyone. Thank you to all of our entrants who put in AVs. Thank you to everyone who's participating here tonight. It went very well. And with that, I will conclude and finish up for the evening. Thank you very much again.
And you picked out at 52 sign up for the night, Dale. So well done.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
Great.
well done.
All right. So you can all log off now. Thank you very much, everybody.